Hello, hello, and welcome to the Continuity Report powered by ohmTown.com. Everything provided by ohmTown. Today is March 10th, 2024. This is Season 1, Episode 10 of the Continuity Report. Today we're going to be talking about the Chronicles of the Chronicles, Keanu and Cameron, How You Doing, Forgotten Cyberpunk, InterSandllar, Amazing TV Incoming, Monopoly Blowing the Dust Off, Black and White Sci-Fi, Stop Motion Animated Movies, and Weird Science TV Show. I don't have an intro for the Continuity Report just yet, and I don't even have transitions, but I always have everything that's associated with ohmTown. So, I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com, and the channel that you're watching is the Continuity Report. We talk about movies, TV, streams, and the sentient AI is on location wherever the sentient AI is on location. I've already got 10 articles all set up. A lot of this is actually coming from Screen Rant, so kudos to Screen Rant for providing a bunch of little snippets to our show. We aggregate a bunch of news, but we don't screen scrape. It's all provided by this little snippet here, and then we follow a link. We create a link to our source, and we promote that. We send everybody over to Screen Rant after we talk about it for a little bit, and then we encourage people to come and have a conversation with Mayor Watt and the sentient AI when it's available. This article is what order Greta Gerwig's Chronicles of Narnia movies should happen in, and it can't copy Disney's $1.58 billion franchise. But I don't remember Chronicles of Narnia actually being completed by Disney. So hold on. Greta Gerwig's Chronicles of Narnia should avoid copying the Disney adaptations by releasing them in a different order. In 2005, Disney released their version of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, spawning a series that lasted 3 movies, and though they were beloved in their era, none received astounding critical acclaim or monumental cultural success. While other beloved fantasy series from the 2000s like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings trilogy have had uproars in the thought of reboots, Barbie director Greta Gerwig's rendition of the Chronicles of Narnia seems incredibly promising. So the article is over at screenrant.com. I don't see a byline. Actually they have an interesting format. Okay. So Greta Gerwig's the article is by Charles Papadopoulos, but I don't know if I'll be able to read the whole thing because it's part of their premium line, but let's see. So C.S. Lewis's novels are some of the most beloved young adult fantasy books ever, and they deserve an adaptation of the same caliber as Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings films. I don't know, though. There's a different aesthetic and style and appeal. It's definitely a young adult, kids type of movie, but there's some pretty heady topics that appear. So I don't know. Lord of the Rings doesn't seem really as young, or I should say for as young an audience as I think Chronicles of Narnia are. But maybe that's just my perception of it. It's been a long time since I read Chronicles of Narnia. In the movies I've watched, but I watched pretty much when they came out. Apparently, she's also revealed her dedication to a faithful adaptation of C.S. Lewis's stories, which should include a particular release order rather than repeating what Disney did with the 2000 series. And so, let's see here. Do they actually have it in the order? So, the release order is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, then Prince Caspian, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, The Silver Chair, The Horse and His Boy, The Magician's Nephew, and The Last Battle. But the chronological order is The Magician's Nephew, then The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, then The Horse and His Boy, Prince Caspian, the Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and the Silver Chair, and The Last Battle. So Greta Gerwig's versions would be better going chronologically for a more faithful adaptation, and I agree. Yeah, Disney did not release anything, not everything in this. So they released The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Prince Caspian, and Voyage of the Dawn Treader. But they didn't release any of the other stuff. So yeah, there's more. Go and read this over at screenrant.com. The link is already in the show notes, but I'm always more inclined. I really don't like it when a channel or a studio decides to chop it all up and throw it out of alignment with what the writing really is, because it's that writing that has made the books or the writing so popular. So why mess with it? Fox did the same garbage with Firefly and ruined the show. And people are still bent out of shape about that one. So, but let's keep on going. Let's go to the next article. It's over in Continuity Report. Keanu Reeves and Cameron Diaz's new movie can make up for a 14% Rotten Tomatoes disaster from 28 years ago. Let me throw this into the chat. There's going to be two articles about Keanu Reeves tonight, mainly because I've become a little obsessed with one of the movies, but we'll get to it. Keanu Reeves and Cameron Diaz could finally have the on-screen reunion in the John Hill directed horror movie Outcome. Diaz is in talks to star in Outcome alongside John Wick and the Matrix megastar Reeves, which would mark their first time working together in nearly 3 decades. Diaz and Reeves, both prominent Hollywood actors in the 1990s, appeared together in the 1996 dark comedy Feeling Minnesota, which was written and directed by Steven Beigelman. The film also featured notable actors of that era, such as Vincent D'Onofrio and Dan Aykroyd. And I just watched Spies Like Us today, or not today, yesterday. Funny movie. Okay, so let's go over to the source here. It's over at Screen Rant. The deck statement says Cameron Diaz and Keanu Reeves could team up once more to redeem their underwhelming 1996 flop in a new movie written and directed by Jonah Hill. Greg MacArthur over at Screen Rant put the article together, and it's a horror movie called Outcome. But let's see, what is Jonah Hill best known for his performances in the film and television series such as The Wolf of Wall Street, Moneyball, Superbad. Hill's directorial debut in the mid-90s, not in the mid-90s, it says debut mid-90s, was met with positive critical reception. As a coming-of-age story set in Los Angeles, currently at the development stage, Outcome is being described as a genre-blending comedy thriller with elements of horror, setting up an ambitious sophomore effort from Hill with Reeves on board to star. Reeves as a... Okay, well, I guess it depends on how much he's going to be doing either action, or if he's going to be cracking jokes, or how these two are going to riff off of each other. Because the last time I saw anything with Cameron Diaz was something about Mary. That was quite a while ago now. So why did it get such bad reviews for Feeling Minnesota? Their last film didn't exactly wow critics and audiences, earning just 14%. Diaz plays a former professional dancer named Freddie that falls in love with Reeves' character, Jax Clayton, the brother of Freddie's fiancée, Sam. They don't really say why, though. Otherwise, Torn Apart, and it says that it got a 3-star review from Roger Ebert. And then everybody else, I guess, just jumped on. This botched job should be stamped direct to video. Stumbled mindlessly in all directions. See, this is the kind of stuff that makes you want to watch it and maybe go and look at... there's a podcast called How Did This Get Made? Might have to go and look to see if they've actually done this one. Feeling Minnesota. They've done a lot of episodes. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see Reeves and Diaz back in a film 30 years after their last meeting on film. Who knows? Let's keep going though. The next article is over in the continuity report, and it says, "How you doing?" The cast of Dune is replaced by Joey from Friends in a ridiculously funny crossover. The Dune Part 2 cast gets replaced by Joey from Friends and incorporates his iconic catchphrase in an amusing crossover poster, adapting the second half of Frank Herbert's 1965 sci-fi novel. The film continues following Paul Atreides as he unites with Chani and the Fremen to fight House Harkonnen, with the cast led by returning Timothy Chalamet and Zendaya. The sequel was released on March 1st, and since then, Dune Part 2 has been dominating both the box office and popular culture. Everybody break out your Dune sandworm buckets. Adam Bentz over at ScreenRant.com put the article together. It says, Dune Part 2 cast gets replaced by Joey from Friends and incorporates his catchphrase, "How you doing?" in a ridiculously funny crossover. Let's see here. So it's a new... So it's Matt LeBlanc and Matt LeBlanc in How You Doing Part 2. Long live the meatball sub. Put together by Pretty Cool Tim. It's pretty cool, Tim. You can go and check out this poster on your own. Just follow the link through Hometown. It'll take you over to Screen Rant. Of course, you can always go straight over to Screen Rant and pull it up yourself. But, then you don't get the fun that is associated with interacting with Mayor Watt here at Hometown. And in the next show, which is tonight, right after this one, and it might be in about 25 minutes, depending on how fast I go through today's news. If I don't soapbox, we'll make it through in about 30 to 45 minutes. But tonight I'll be disclosing exactly where Hometown exists, and you'll be able to measure it. But you'll have to get some pretty expensive and intense scientific equipment, but we'll talk about it in Technology Today, which is a show right after this one. Okay, so let's go on to the next article. This one here is in Continuity Report as well. You should definitely watch Keanu Reeves' forgotten cyberpunk movie after Apple TV Plus's new Sci-Fi show announcement. And like I said, today has Keanu Reeves all over it. Apple TV Plus's upcoming Neuromancer 10-episode series is already shaping up to be an engaging expansion of the streamer's sci-fi offerings, but the Keanu Reeves-led Johnny Mnemonic highlights how author William Gibson's sci-fi work has always been looked at for on-screen adaptation. As the sci-fi genre has evolved on screen over the last 30 years, it's become a more and more experimental brand of story. Shows like Silo highlight how the right platform can bring massive and thought-provoking stories to life without the overt influence of studios bringing or changing the stories that inspired them. But Johnny Mnemonic is an awesome movie. It's kind of cheesy. Whenever I tell somebody that there's a dolphin involved, then they go, "What?" And then I just have to leave that alone. Just don't question it. It actually has a foundation, but it's you just got to watch it. And it's a really fun watch, and hints at the possible world building that William Gibson started with Neuromancer. That book right there, Neuromancer, getting turned into a 10-episode series. I think the world building is going to be spectacular. It's basically the foundation for everything cyberpunk. William Gibson is the godfather of cyberpunk. I mean, Neuromancer, Burning Chrome, Mona Lisa Overdrive, and then there's others like Snow Crash from others. that I everybody lumps it together, puts Snow Crash in there, but I'm really just a strict William Gibson fan, and the two things that really impacted me and my desire to get involved with technology was me touching the internet for the first time when I was 10 years old on a 110 baud modem, before the DoD left the internet to commercial enterprise. I was able to communicate with somebody on the other side of the world. It blew me away and flattened all of the barriers, just removed everything, flattened the world. And then Neuromancer popped up, and I gobbled that book up again and again. Started playing the Cyberpunk role-playing game, which was the tabletop role-playing game, not the computer game. And actually wanted to go into biology to learn cybernetics. And it at some point I realized it's just way too involved for me, and I didn't like being hyper focused like that. So I moved on, but I've never lost my love of cyberpunk. And even the knock on of that is steampunk. I've just loved basically meat and machines merged together, and technology just in abundance all over the place. Yeah, it's just my jam. So I'm going to eat this show up. And I hope that it is as good as Foundation or better, because there's it speaks my language in tech. So I think I'm going to fall in love with this. Brandon Zachary over at ScreenRant.com put this article together. The deck statement says Apple TV Plus is adapting one of William Gibson's sci-fi cyberpunk. I don't know why they hyphenated it, but cyberpunk stories almost 30 years after this infamous Keanu Reeves film took a swing. I think it actually did a great freaking job. It had a monofilament whip in it, for crying out loud. It had the dystopian flavor to it, just rife throughout it. It brought on this concept of low techs, or people who issue technology to the same level as others. And they had everything that you see in modern cyberpunk games. This is the parent of all of these games. So I love it. It says this wasn't the case decades ago when William Gibson's influential and award-winning prose was reimagined through the lens of a Hollywood blockbuster system. The result was one of Keanu Reeves' most forgotten films, which was both a critical and commercial bomb when it was released in 1995. However, with 30 years separating Johnny Mnemonic and the Apple TV Plus Neuromancer, they spelled it wrong. I like this spelling better. Neuromancer. Nerm. So if you spell it Norm, then it would have been a cyberpunk Norm from Cheers. It's worth revisiting one of Reeves' most infamous bombs to see how that era of filmmaking approached Gibson's works. And hey, I'm telling you, it was awesome. Because you get the cyber deck, and you can jack into what amounts to the Matrix, and operate at the speed of thought. It embodied viruses. The street preacher was more chrome than human, totally psychotic, driven by money and this weird ideal, religious ideal. After getting valuable information downloaded into his brain implant, he is a mnemonic courier. So data gets encrypted and thrown into his long-term memory, quote unquote, that he had to dump a chunk of long-term memory, which was his entire childhood. And he would get flashes of it from time to time after this memory dump was thrown into his augmentation. So on top of trying to avoid the killer and his Yakuza employers, Johnny had to race to get the information out of his head before it had synaptic leakage and kill him. So go and watch this movie. I really don't want to give it all away. But you get enough of it out of the trailer that you're like, oh crap, this guy needs to get moving. But I think that we should, as an internet community, cluster around this. And actually, it says it has since developed a passionate cult following among sci-fi fans. I think that this would be a great like watch party kind of thing. Everybody watch it at the same time. It would be great. And it says William Gibson's Neuromancer universe is getting a new adaptation on Apple TV Plus, and there's more and more information that's coming out as time goes by. But yeah, great story. I think it was a great story. Oh, and they even mentioned Foundation and Silo, which were both great shows over on Apple TV Plus. Yeah, if it's like those, I'm gonna love this. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I don't know. I can hardly contain myself. Okay, but I can't gush all night, so let's go on to the next article. It's over in Continuity Report as well. Not everything that we talk about in Continuity Report is kind of aggregated into this one channel. It's right here under Food, Drink, and Entertainment, so Continuity Report. But a lot of it is. Wish Interstellar had been more confusing and had a giant spider. Adam Sandler has the sci-fi movie for you. It's a new Adam Sandler movie called Spaceman. It says it's fundamentally similar to Christopher Nolan's Interstellar, but is executed much differently. Spaceman stars Sandler in the lead role of a small but impressive cast that includes Academy Award nominee Carey Mulligan as Jacob's pregnant wife Lenka, and Emmy nominee Paul Dano as the voice of a friendly arachnid extraterrestrial named Hannes. I've seen a little bit of this, but not much. I want to see the whole thing. Spaceman and Interstellar have primary settings in deep outer space, but ultimately the tones and themes of both sci-fi dramas are very distinct from one another. The article is over at Screen Rant. Greg MacArthur is the author, and the deck statement says Adam Sandler's new Netflix movie Spaceman features some fundamental and thematic similarities to Christopher Nolan's sci-fi epic Interstellar. So let's see what else it has in here. We know who the arachnid is. It's an extraterrestrial. Oh my gosh. Another movie that's in the, not movie, but series that involves space, Constellation. If you are a lightweight when it comes to like jump scares and horror, then shy away from Constellation, because yeah, or at least don't watch it in bed while you're getting sleepy. So Spaceman was directed by Swedish director Rohan Renck, known for his award-winning work in Chernobyl, Breaking Bad, The Walking Dead, Vikings, Bloodline. Despite Renck's impressive filmography, Spaceman has received mixed reviews from critics, earning a Rotten Tomatoes score of just 51% as of its streaming release date of March 1st, 2024, and which has dropped to 50% at the time of the writing. I don't really want to go. I don't want to spoil stuff. I do want to like tease people into going and watching that, and then coming and talking to me about it and the AI when the AI is available. But I haven't seen this yet. But what I have seen, they had a really good knack of making the film look like it's from another era. So let me see if they actually put the time frame in it. They make a really good stab at making Adam Sandler, or I think Russian cosmonaut, as far as I understand it, and feeling the pain of being in deep space. For an extended period of time, finding out they knew when he left that the wife was already pregnant, and there's a child involved too, another child involved at a school, I think it is. But I've only seen these little snippets, and so I want to go and watch the whole thing and then talk about it. But it really, the small amount that I have seen has really pulled you into it. But it is, again, the snippets that I have seen make it kind of slow and maybe a little plodding, but I just don't want to ruin it for anybody. So here are like a few pictures of it, and but I definitely don't want to just ruin the whole thing for everybody. Yeah, primarily some of the same themes about family, fatherhood, the vast isolation of space, and then they get into the science side of things. Not to mention a big talking spider. I don't know what the real context of that is. It could be pure hallucination, or it could be an actual alien. But yeah, it's called Spaceman. Okay, let's keep going. The next article is over in the continuity report as well. I can't believe how many amazing TV shows we're going to have in 3 months, according to this article. It too is from Screen Rant. The author says we live in an era of peak television, proven by the overwhelming number of exciting shows premiering in just a few short months. June 2024 is shaping up to be an entertaining and highly anticipated period of television enthusiasts, giving the various series that are returning for new seasons or debuting their first episodes throughout the month. From Emmy-winning shows to new additions to prominent franchises, those who love television will have their hands full trying to keep up with all of the releases, which is never a bad thing, especially since there is time to prepare for their arrival. The article is by Sarah Little. The deck statement says June 24th is an exciting month for television lovers, with numerous big series either premiering for the first time or returning for new seasons. So let's run down this list. I think they'll have a bunch of them as a list. There we go. So The Acolyte Season 1, The Boys Season 4, which promises to go out with a bang, I suppose. Bridgerton Season 3 Part 2, Presumed Innocent Season 1, The Bear Season 3, House of the Dragon Season 2, which I stopped paying attention, and then Orphan Black Echoes Season 1. That will probably be pretty epic. I don't know if there's going to be more. Oh, they have the rundowns. I forgot that they have this rundown, but the one that I'm really interested in, I won't go through all of these. I'll encourage you to just follow the link through ohmTown and scan them real quick. But oh, they don't even have it. There's the Acolyte, but they don't have what I was trying to actually look at. Look at that. Well, that kind of sucks. I want to see Orphan Black, but that's not on the list. Yep. All right. Well, that kind of neutered what I was trying to do. I wanted to talk about that. Let's keep going. This is how we end up with a short show. Because my reaction to the news is my reaction, honestly, because I haven't read any of this news. I'm reading it for the first time with you. I just happen to usually have read something somewhere else or in another article in ohmTown. This article is titled Monopoly Gets the Dune Treatment in New Sand-Hued Board Game Set. I will probably end up getting this. I'm a big fan of Dune as well. Read a bunch of the other world building books that are involved from Herbert's son and the co-writer for it. But from all of Herbert's notes, they spun up all of this other world building. It's pretty spectacular. So the article is actually over at variety.com. Anna Tingley is the author. And that's what it looks like. I was expecting it actually to be more Dune-ish, but you know, because they say it gets a sand-hued board game set, but this doesn't look very sandy, you know? It's pretty colorful. But I'm not sure what all is in there. It says Dune Monopoly is one of dozens of new pop culture inspired board games to come out in recent months. Earlier this year, Monopoly released a Yellowstone edition ahead of the hit Paramount show's 5th season. Oh, by the way, like Monopoly is free of its copyright. So anybody can make a Dune, not a Dune, a Monopoly version. The reason why Monopoly and Warner Brothers and who is it? Who is it that owns Monopoly? Doggone it. Who's the name of the game company? I can't remember it. Doggone it. So, yeah, so the Monopoly is public domain, but all of these become protected properties. So, Parker Brothers, the AI is actually sending me messages. So, Parker Brothers owns Monopoly, and they are licensing like Barbie Monopoly and Dune Monopoly. So it's reinvigorating the brand retention of Monopoly, but anybody can make a Monopoly knockoff. They just can't use Monopoly. It has to be some derivative product. It can't be called Monopoly because that's a trademark term. And so Yellowstone becomes protected. Things like Disney, Hocus Pocus, Yahtzee is protected, but the games are in public domain. So you can do whatever you want really with the process of this game. You just have to come up with original artwork and whatnot. Or just make a Monopoly game as it was created at the time of its application for our copyright. So now anybody can do it. Okay, so, but I'm not an attorney. I'm not your attorney. And if I was an attorney, I'm not your attorney. So go talk to an IP attorney. That said, let's move on to the next article. This one is over in the Continuity Report, 10 black and white sci-fi movies that completely changed the genre. I don't always talk about sci-fi, but it tends to be an extremely popular area of discussion, particularly online. So a lot of the news for Continuity Report ends up having that because it's such a high target area. Well, old black and white movies are usually seen as outdated these days, but many of them help shape the future of sci-fi. The genre simply wouldn't be where it is today without the legacy of sci-fi movies that came before color film. And let's get into the list of these because I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So Ben Prothero over at Screen Rant put the article together. The deck statement says, many people dismiss black and white films as outdated, but some sci-fi classics from decades ago helped create the genre as it is today. Let's go through this list real quick. So A Trip to the Moon. They actually shoot this pod into the moon that basically looks like it's cheese, and it has a face on it, and then they zoom in on it. But this is from 1902. The first sci-fi movie helped construct the language of cinema. It says, despite its conventional framing and blocking, A Trip to the Moon helped distinguish cinema as its own art form. 1902. Then Metropolis is pretty much the grandfather of sci-fi, I'd say. A German expressionist masterpiece that still influences filmmakers almost a century later. It had this really sophisticated technocratic kind of mindset where everything was dystopian and cold and callous. Had video phones and stuff, and this was back in 1927. So it was pretty cool. Before Metropolis, the genre was mostly escapist fantasy. In the years after it started inching toward more substantial forms of storytelling, Metropolis is one of the most influential German expressionist movies ever. Yeah, packed with stunning visuals, drawing inspiration from Art Deco architecture. It's all from the time, with an ambition to show what the future was going to be like. Of course, Godzilla, 1954, the original kaiju movie, created a cinematic icon. It was claymation, if I recall correctly. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know if it's actually going to talk about the film's depiction of man's response to overwhelming threats has inspired sci-fi movies from, about aliens, asteroids, and everything in between. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. The 1956 version of this is spectacular, although I think I've liked every iteration of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Alien invasion movies were never the same after Invasion of the Body Snatchers, as well as the 78 remake. It's one of the best alien invasion movies ever. Yeah, it was, and it had a nice kind of pivot. You'll have to you'll have to watch it if you haven't watched either of them. I think you'll really like Invasion of the Body Snatchers if you're into alien movies. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. The Day the Earth Stood Still is equally awesome. The Robert Wise movie approached aliens in a new way. This is from 1951. The remake was actually pretty good too. It had Keanu Reeves in it. They say just think of Arrival or Edge of Tomorrow. The Day the Earth Stood Still is also notable for how perfectly its allegory lines up with contemporary Cold War anxieties. Alien invasion should always try to reflect some broader societal fear, like how Village of the Damned preys on man's parental insecurities. I liked the remake, but I liked it because I liked the scale of it. So, but the Day the Earth Stood Still in its original in 1951 is fun to watch no matter what. Yeah, if you've never seen it, basically somebody does a pretty stupid move and all hell breaks loose. The hilarity ensues. The next is The Fly, 1958. It says here, The Fly is a brilliant articulation of the common fear that technology is advancing faster than humanity can keep up with it. It was remade by Cronenberg in 86 with a much higher tech feel to it. It says The Fly makes sure to tell the compelling story, human story before wading too far into sci-fi make-believe. It was really the original, though. It didn't appeal to me as much as the remake in 86, but number 4 is The Creature from the Black Lagoon, 1954. I've never really been a big fan of this, although Swamp Thing is kind of a knock-on of Creature from the Black Lagoon, although it has to do with chemical making somebody more of what their true character is. Creature from the Black Lagoon is part of a tradition of creature features that suggest that there might be strange unknown creatures right here on Earth, so everybody be afraid of going in the water. The monster known as Gillman has shaped creature design in sci-fi and horror for years, that's for sure. And then Frankenstein, which is the doctor, not Frankenstein's monster, which is that. An iconic adaptation of a revolutionary novel. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is one of the most influential horror and sci-fi novels ever written. Agree. Boris Karloff's film remains the most iconic screen version of Frankenstein, given the monster a blend of menace and innocence. And it's hard to imagine Ex Machina, Blade Runner, or Poor Things, which is the newest addition to this list, which has a surreal feel to it. Oh my goodness. And probably the closest to Frankenstein as you can imagine. Ex Machina is definitely not a Frankenstein. At least to me, I don't think it has anything really to do with Frankenstein. And then King Kong. King Kong was not a typical movie monster at the time. Yeah, for sure. Akin to Godzilla. Influenced plenty of creature features showing... now they've merged them all together. So Godzilla and Kong are together again, putting the band back together. Flash Gordon was an awesome watch. The space opera is noted favorite among sci-fi writers and directors. And I love it. It's very kitschy and kind of, I don't know, over the top, but it was a fun watch on the remake side of it. The original, though, I don't think that I've seen the original, but it's from 1936. The remake was actually pretty fun. But yeah, I'm sure it impacted things like Star Wars and Star Trek. Taika Waititi was apparently working on a new live-action movie, but news of that has gone quiet in the last few years, according to the author here at ScreenRant.com. And that's it, folks. Dun, dun, dun for that one. I don't typically go through everything with that fine-tooth comb kind of a discussion, but I'm really into sci-fi movies, so it was a lot of fun. Happy to talk more about it if you are interested in that. Either follow the link through ohmTown. You can sign up, become a citizen of ohmTown, and leave a comment there. You can leave it over on the Discord. You can leave it on YouTube when the video gets posted. You can send me messages. You can even email mayor@ohmtown.com. I get those. And it would be awesome if you go over to Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star review there. Leave a comment at the time, and I will quote it verbatim. And if you tell me not to use your name, I won't even say your name, but that's okay. Let's keep going, though. I will not go through all of these. I'm just front loading this. There's 52 best stop motion animated movies of all time, from the works of directors like Wes Anderson and Tim Burton to the oldest animated movies in existence. Here are the best reviewed stop motion movies. It's over at Rotten Tomatoes. I think the byline is basically Rotten Tomatoes, like everybody. And they have this list. So it starts out as Shaun the Sheep, and then just goes and goes and goes. So let's see what the bottom one is. So Hell and Back, which I haven't seen. So Gumby the movie is number 51. Jack Boots on Whitehall is 50. Clash of Titans, First Men in the Moon. Yeah, quite a few. Just go and check them all out. I have this desire to watch movies and do reviews and kind of do the continuity report kind of report, and do that as a separate feature from the show that would be available via the Patreon. It's all in the works, so I'm not sure when it will actually come to pass, but if you're interested in this kind of thing, like, I would love to review Kubo and the Two Strings. That was such an awesome watch. Yeah, let me know, and maybe I can make that actually happen. It would be great to talk with people about these movies. Maybe even do watch parties. And finally, the last article for tonight for the continuity report is all about a TV show that I saw a couple of times, and it left my mind until I saw this. It's the little snippet is over in the continuity report, but it's called Weird Science TV Show Still Has Some Magic Left After 30 Years. The author of this is dragging this out of history. The movie Weird Science was a 1985 film by John Hughes that asked, what would two high school boys do with an all-powerful, magic-wielding, they say sex goddess, but it's really just a goddess. What if they could create one on their computer? It's a concept that needs more than an hour and a half to explore, so just under a decade later, fans were given a television show for more wacky adventures. In many ways, this 1994 series may have been better than the original movie, but this Weird Science still has some experimenting to do. There were 88 episodes of this Weird Science show. It's over at comingsoon.net is where this was written. Stephen Wilds is the author. And what's interesting about this is the show's premise starts out with the two high school students named the same, Wyatt and what is that other person's name? What was the other dude's name? I'll find it. I think it's in here. So the show on USA Network ran 88 episodes, stretched out over 5 seasons. The author says that they were a pretty big fan back then. And so, Gary Wallace and Wyatt Donnelly, who used Wyatt's computer to make Lisa, and this is Lisa, and Wyatt and Gary have to basically live life with this woman that they created using the computer. They tap into some nuclear research facility and power up the AI of their computer to bring her to life. And then she has these superpowers, really. He's constantly being affected by Lisa's spells, usually after drooling over. The show is centered on their relationship with each other, the boys' reliance on Lisa, and the interactions they have with their families during these magical hijinks. The final main character is Chet, which gets in the movie turned into a big pile of dung. The grandparents get frozen and put in a closet or a pantry in the kitchen. It's a funny movie. I can't imagine it being made today, but so the origin of the self-proclaimed magic genie isn't explained. Over time, we learn that most of the rules for her powers, they even joke about her having a manual. Lisa can grant Gary and Wyatt's wishes, but certain things are prohibited by her programming, and she can deny their request if she believes it isn't helpful or capable of providing growth. Like, she can't force anybody to love them. And that actually is manifest in the movie as well. I just can't go through this whole thing, but I would encourage y'all to go and watch this. The show was popular, and not just because they secured that catchy theme song by Oingo Boingo, which was an awesome Halloween concert that I went to back when Oingo Boingo was really, really popular. But they say the intro is still fantastic. There were several promos, some guest spots, and the author says that they'd forgotten that Gary, Wyatt, and Chet all show up in an episode of Duckman. Weird Science was popular in international markets, though in France it was called Code Lisa for some reason. Interesting. So there you have it. Weird Science is the show that happens when two dudes are given a cheat code for all of their insecurities and curiosities in high school, but decide to be frivolous and petty about everything. In that way, it's kind of legit. So, yeah, talk about hearkening back to those days where you go, there were better times back in the day, and it's usually because you didn't have any responsibility and you could have fun with your friends all day. And not worry about a mortgage. So I'll probably end up going back and looking at a couple of these and maybe watching the original movie just because it's a fun kind of brain dead watch. And but it actually had it was a coming of age kind of self-discovery movie that, honestly was a fun watch. And I still remember it to this day. But not this series. This one is interesting. I'll definitely go back and watch a couple of these. Just got to find them. Anyway, that's it for the continuity report. And we always get back into the party bus and drive down Main Street. I'm going to refresh this, but I don't know what all has been aggregated between then and now, because we've been doing the show for nearly an hour. But there you have it. With that in mind, I'm going to call it a night. But stay tuned if you want. Follow us here on twitch.tv/ohmtown and over on YouTube. There's a Patreon and a Discord. And don't forget to download the podcasts and leave reviews. That's very important to the growth of the channel here and over on YouTube and in the podcast itself. Without your interaction, it doesn't really grow. So that's it. I'm going to call it. And right after the show, in about by 8:30, I will have reset and we're going to launch Technology Today. It'll just be me. The AI is off on location, and we'll get that show done as well. So you're going to get to see Keanu Reeves again, I think. Stay tuned. Okay. Sorry. Production value at an all-time high. Cheers.